if we see the 144,000.
Well, there's three parts to the kingdom. So there's actually three groups, right? So there's a group that comes out of judgment in the most holy place, right? And then who is that group?
Yeah,
Well, that's actually the Elijah messenger, right?
say it again.
The group that comes out of the judgment in the most holy place, that's the Elijah messenger,
Mhm.
right?
Elijah messenger.
If I was telling the story of Jesus, that would be John the Baptist. So, by the way, that's us. That's Seventh Day Adventists, right?
Okay.
And then we're supposed to uh, give our lives for the gospel. Um, and then what happens? The next group, the 12,000 from the 12 tribes. Who are the 12 tribes?
Also Adventist.
Well, that's all Christianity.
Oh,
Anyone who has accepted the blood of Christ and entered into the covenant are represented by the 12 tribes. So you've moved from the holy place, the most holy place, now to the holy place. And the holy place actually represents all of Christianity. So the 144,000 actually come from all of Christianity, all those who have accepted the name of Christ. And so there's the 12,000 from the 12 tribes, right?
mhm.
So there now you're dealing with, of course, now you're dealing with the trumpets, not the seals, and the message goes out. And then, of course, when the third stage is when that numbered group goes out to the outer court, and now you have a multitude which no man can number. So now you're dealing with all the nations, tribes, languages of people. Anyone who has not heard or seen the gospel receives a revelation. And so therefore the idea that light has now shined to all three groups. And then once light shines to all three groups and all three groups have made their decision, by the way, we call that the judgment of the living. Then once the final group has made their decision, then probation closes for everyone and the end, it's all done. By the way, Mrs. White says very clearly there, this ends at the altar, that the next step is we see Jesus in the sky because Jesus is the one that's coming out. And so it's his presence, figuratively symbolized by the sanctuary, that is being manifest to each of the groups that they're choosing over. And by the time when he manifests himself to the last group, then the very next step is the second coming, because there's no reason for this thing to dilly-dally anymore. It's done. Every living person has made their decision.
Mhm.
And there's a short time before the close of probation and then the second coming. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
So let me say this, since this is maybe new to you. If you look at the 144,000, we're not there yet, but the tribe of Levi is part of the 144,000. So I'm not saying that there won't be Adventists in the 144,000. There will be some Adventists in the 144,000, but the 144,000 are not Adventists. They're
Wow.
they're faithful Christians from every walk of every denomination, every group that is named Christ. There's going to be faithful believers that are going to come out of those groups.
Okay, okay,
But by the time he gets to the porch, the 144,000 need to be there to stand with him on Mount Zion to be that final witness to the rest of the world, right?
Oh, absolutely, they will. That's
Yeah.
right. They will be there.
So the 144,000 are made up by that point, by the time he gets to the porch.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right.
Because I used to think they might be continued to be made up right to the very end, but
No.
they're a group that's determined before to be that witness to everybody else.
Yes. And we see the same process with Jesus, right? The 12 are made up.
Yes.
Now, when Judas betrays and there's leaven, the first thing you see in the book of Acts, after they get done asking, is it now the kingdom? Is the kingdom going to come now? You see, they're excited about that. They should.
Yeah.
And they're, by the way, they're asking the right question. And then, oh no, it's not now. It's not for you to know the times and seasons the Father has put under his own wisdom, right? But the idea is the first thing they do is they make up the number.
Yeah.
There's
replace
11.
the
No,
missing.
that's not the right number. They make up the number. who's going to be of the number. So they make up the number, and then after they make up the number, then you see the process of Pentecost take place, and then you see the numbered group go out, and the gospel goes to the rest, to the next group, actually to Samaria, and then it's going to go to the ends of the earth. But the point here is that the numbered group is solidified, is made up, and is complete, and then it goes to the next group.
Strange that we have 13 world divisions. It's like we don't even understand any of this.
So that's one of the things that this study of Revelation and the study of the kingship begins to tell you, is that there's many misunderstandings about many things. And our misunderstandings about the 144,000 are one of them.
Yeah.
Most Adventists think that the 144,000 are 144,000 Adventists. And they totally miss the whole idea of John the Baptist and the Elijah messenger.
Well,
See,
that,
John doesn't have a numbered group that follows him. There's no number connected to John.
well, Jesus said, I have other sheep I have not of this fold.
Right.
Most Adventists think the 144,000 are actually millions of Adventists, not 144,000. And that it's, and plenty of people think it's everybody who lives at the end of time who's saved, and all kinds of strange ideas.
Yeah, but it's because they don't understand the three parts of the kingdom, and they don't understand the numbered group is connected to the king. And Gene is correct in terms of what Jesus said, but who did he say that to?
The disciples,
Why did he say that to them?
because they were the numbered group and they thought they were it.
Right. And he's telling them it isn't about you. And by the way, he's saying the same thing to us as Adventists. This isn't about you. Who is it about?
Him.
It's about the king. If it's not about the king, then what the heck are we doing? We're just another beast with another false message to exalt ourselves and glorify ourselves and say, see how right we are. We're just another harlot. We're another river of death, the water turning to blood. We're not giving life. So understanding the three parts of the kingdom not only gives us clarity in terms of the king, but it also the process of the revelation of the king. And then in light of the king, everyone finds their rightful place. And everyone's perfectly happy with the place that God has given them because he's the king. See, this is the story of the Gospels made clear at the first advent of Christ. John the Baptist didn't plan on his head being cut off and him not seeing the Messiah. And when he was in jail, he was discouraged. He thought he had done everything he was supposed to do, just like Elijah on Mount Carmel. He thought he did everything he was supposed to do, and so God's kingdom was going to come and everything was going to happen, and he would see it. And John didn't realize, no, you're not the king. It doesn't happen the way you think it happens. That you do your part, John, you're faithful, you do your part, and then the king knows what he's doing. He'll do his part. And so John, he gets the message after Jesus sends the apostles some, tell John what you saw. And John begins to understand. And he realizes that his ideas of the kingdom were wrong and that the king knows what he's doing. And if John is to lay down his life for the king, that's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. And then he does. And he never sees the numbered group, and he never sees the fulfillment of the kingdom in Christ. He never sees that. But he sees it by faith. He saw it. And it's the same thing. I'm sorry, but we as Adventists have made last day events all about us, and somehow the Sunday law is all about the world chasing us around, and then Jesus is going to come before we have to die. I'm sorry, that's not the prophecy. That's not the prophecy at all. And we have an awakening coming, another great disappointment. And part of that great disappointment is when all of our ideas of the end fall short, and many of us are going to give up our lives if we remain faithful before the end comes. I know we don't like that story, but that's the way. I'm sorry, that's the story of the scriptures. And the truth is, if we're not dying every day and surrendering our life to Christ, we will never stand up and lay down our life for him. That's why, I mean, this is part of this is the delay of the process, right? The power, the authority of the kingdom cannot go forth unless all the parts of the kingdom are in place. Well, what are the three parts of God's kingdom? Well, there's God. He's the deity. Who's the king?
Jesus.
Well, it's Jesus. So is he the problem?
No, we are.
And then there's the priest. So who's the priest of God?
We're supposed to be.
That's us. So who's delaying the formation of the kingdom so that God's power can't go forth?
We are, because we don't give our will and our lives over to him so he can transform us.
Well, it's actually we are, because instead of being priests, we want to be God. We want things to go the way we want them to go. We want to determine what things are. We're doing the same thing that the Jews did. We're doing the same thing that happened to Catholicism. We're repeating the prophecy. And that's the part that Laodicea does not want to hear. Laodicea does not want to hear that we care about money more than we care about people. Laodicea doesn't want to hear that. But guess what? Is it true? So one of the things we begin to learn is that institutions never make it through the process. Because when people start caring more about the existence of the institution rather than the glorification of the king, then they always, what's the word I want to say? Then they always become heretics. They make heresy out of the truth. They replace the truth of God with something else.